I went through a rough time for about 3.5 years, very rough time, start with depression. But, it's amazing. The best thing about it is when you get your head right, you can only go up. That's it. You don't have cancer, thank God. You're not dying. You can only go one direction. And it takes a minute. You got to be patient. Get in doing the work every day. You'll notice each month progresses and each month progresses. And so now.
Welcome back to another episode of Intrepidus Podcast with your hosts, Dan and Anthony, episode number 52. Today we have Craig with Maximus Mortgages. Welcome to the show, Craig.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, mortgages. We assume you sell mortgages. Tell us a little bit about the industry. How long you been in it?
So I got in the mortgage industry 2019. I had a friend, Sal, get me into it. Prior to that, I was selling cars, and I wasn't like that typical car salesman. I worked at a company called Auto Lenders, and you made $100 a car. That was it at the time. They've since expanded, and I'm sure commissions changed. But what was great about that was it took me from working on cars to selling cars. I remember my father asking me, you never sold any before. Well, little did he know, I hustled my whole life. I mean, I've been a hustler since I was a young kid. And but what you had to do for that $100 each car, I used to sell 35, 40 cars a month back at the time. And I never took a day off of work, being in the gym, training at night. And I had a friend of mine, Sal, who was like a brother. And I remember seeing him coming in with his suits on and being a coastline. And, I had my fishnet shirt on, and, we're all big guys back then, the old days. Disco music playing, and Sal comes in with a suit on.
World Gym shirt on.
World Gym, yeah. Well, you remember the tight belt. Yeah. And Sal came in, and he came with a guy, Rob Dishert, and they had suits on. I said, man, I'm 20 years old. These guys are wearing suits. He's pulling up a little S-type Jag, and I was proud of him. That was a big thing for me, And he'd say, what do we have to do? Give you $5,000 a paper bag to come over here? What do you? And I went and put it 2 weeks in, and they said to stay back, and I did. Prior to September 11th, started slowing down a little bit, and I made a leap of faith, got into it, and I couldn't fail. I just, I had a young son at the time. I had my first son when I was 20. Lived on my own since I was 17, 2 weeks after high school. Great family, great family. It had nothing to do with parenting, or I could have been more blessed. But it just moved on with life, So I bought a house when I was 20, my first house, and I just couldn't fail. And I got into this industry on a refi game, where back then you didn't have all this technology. You had to hit paper leads, and you printed them out, and I would hit that lead so many times. If you remember the jail walls, the 4 strikes with a cross, well, that's what I had to do. And if I didn't make 200 calls a day, I felt like I put the Maloiks on me. I mean, I had to grind, and I didn't know I was going to make it. It was fear of loss. Just every day, I'd be outside back then smoking cigarettes going, I'm going to make it, right? I'm going to make it. Who knew, But I didn't have faith in myself that we were just talking as I came in here. I just didn't know, but I knew I couldn't fail. And, soon enough, I started, back then I wasn't good at math either. In school, I'd say, Steve Stalkup, hey, Steve, what's the rate on that loan? He'd say 6 5/8. And I knew an eighth was 0.125. So I'd go back to my desk. All right, cool. And I'd put 6 and I'd do
quarters point.
And I would take 0.125 and I times it by 6 on a calc, and that was my rate. Faked until I made it. And that was it, right? Thank God. Shout out to Stalkup. That's still my buddy to this day, 20 years later. But that was it. And I just came in. But I walked into something out of Goodfellas. You had guys with collars out to their sides, and I said, holy mackerel, what did I do? And, but eventually, 6 months, 7 months in the game, I was out working everybody. And I became one of the top performers in the office, if not the top. And it was just a handful of us still in the industry left today. And but watching the smile of my parents, I'd come home and say, yeah, Dad, not to talk money, it's not everything. But I'd say, yo, Dad, I made $15,000 this month. And he was a principal in a school, and that wasn't money he was making back then. And we still had everything we could have. And, he'd say, you sure it's on the ups and ups? And I'd be sitting on his boat. I said, yeah, look, here's my paycheck. Here's taxes taken out and everything. He'd say, you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure, Dad. Next thing you know, the 15 became 20, 20 became 30, 30 became 50, 50 became 100. And that's all she wrote. And I rode that train out. Unfortunately, Sal and I parted ways, not as friends, but, he had some challenges that went on. And we got in a couple different entrepreneurs, debt settlement, different things back in 2009 when the market was really funny. And then I got back into running a branch. And I did that again for many years. And, in fact, the company I'm with today is a company I worked with when I first started. Years back, I came back to work with them again. And, just going back in time, it's crazy. The hours you put in, I never put the pedal off the metal. That was it. So it didn't matter what you made. It was never a financial thing. You had to sell every day like it was your last day because you're working on refis. Refis clients can bail They have no skin in the game. Where purchase, that where I'm at today, is more contract driven. There's more skin in the game. They need to close, need to settle. And I love it because you're networking. That was a gift of gab. I mean, that was something my mom gave me. I talk, right? But I talk from my heart, like I said today. It's just the way things are, and but that was it. But just like anything else, you go through times in life, where I was at the top, very top of the game. And in fact, when I had to convert from refi to purchase, I worked at a company called AnyMac. It's based out of my area, but there's branches up here. And I picked up top purchase increase in the company. I had 80 branches in my first year. And again, didn't know I was going to make it because I knew every realtor in town, but you can't just say, hey, give me all your business. They already have referral partners, so you had to earn it. You had to have a thing of value. You had to network. And then I realized this is different. Man, I got contracts in. I could actually breathe. Or I can go on vacation or go to the president clubs and things that I never thought about, where when I was in my first marriage, I never took a day off. So I always regretted that because you can't go back on time. You can't. Unfortunately, I got remarried. Didn't work. It was less than 2 years. It was a blessing in disguise in the end. Never to talk bad about anybody or anything. But you know what?
Learned a lot, I'm sure.
I learned a hell of a lot. I learned a lot in life and a lot of where I need to go and what I needed to correct on myself and, where you can't allow yourself to go. And that goes into dark spaces and, and I take a lot of pride in it. And I usually don't open up much about it, but I'll tell you, I went through a rough time for about 3.5 years, very rough time, starting with depression. And there's a lot of people out there that have it, and they don't know that they have it. They don't know what it is, so they run to a crutch of vice. I did. We all do. And but it's amazing because I tell everybody. And I was just talking to a close friend of mine the other day on the Facebook Messenger, and I said, the most amazing thing is when you go off an alcohol, drug addiction, depression, whatever it's going to be. Sorry, my watch. Whatever it's going to be. The best thing about it is when you get your head right, you can only go up. That's it. You don't have cancer, thank God. You're not dying. You're not, you can only go one direction. And it takes a minute. You got to be patient, but when you keep plugging in, doing the work every day, you'll notice each month progresses and each month progresses. And so now what it's taught me is where I need to be mentally with my space. And also when we talk about faith, and I know some people believe, some people don't. I'm going to tell you, without faith, I wouldn't be sitting where I'm sitting right now. And I think it's the most amazing feeling in the world to believe in yourself, know what it is. And, and the biggest lesson I could always tell people is, no matter what time you go through or however it is, and everyone's got their own demons or whatever it may be, it's part of life, right? Whatever it is that you go through, you have to learn to put the brakes up at some point and not self-destruct. Self-destruction is easy. We all go through it.
I think it's important. You talked about rock bottom, right? You can't go any further down. You can only go up.
Yep.
And I think until a person experiences rock bottom, they don't really realize how much potential they have in their life, what their gifts are in their life, and how much life really has to give. Because a lot of times in life, most people are on autopilot.
That's it.
And when you're on autopilot, you're making some money, you're doing good, and everything is good, and you're just accustomed to this life, and everything is good. You can't see down, you can't see up. You just kind of like, you got your blinders on. You're like the horse in the race, and you're just going for the finish line. And everyone I've ever talked to that has hit rock bottom has went through these bad spots in life, and like there's no further way to go than the bottom. Your only way is up. A lot of things in life start to happen to us. A lot of things start to come into place. We start doing things differently. We start experiencing things differently, and we start to see this different side of life that we would have never seen if we didn't get down there. So let's talk about, and we don't have to get deep into it, but let's talk about you were in a bad spot for some time with your divorces and everything. And, when you're on your way down and you're cruising, bro, you're cruising faster down than you are ever cruising up. Talk about, some of the feelings that you had, but then also talk about the turnaround on, where your life is today because of that, and if you didn't hit rock bottom, maybe where your life would have been.
Yeah, well, it's funny when you think about it, because I'll tell you one thing: rock bottom's a beautiful thing, and rock bottom most people think of rock bottom as I'm homeless.
Yeah.
Well, there's different rock bottoms.
Correct.
I'm still in my house, still doing my things. Financially, I'm okay. Thank God. But rock bottom sometimes is within yourself. And I think so it's a pretty rough thing, and a lot of times guys will tell you when they hit rock bottom, they're humble. But if you go through 100,000, they're still the same asshole they were before they hit rock bottom, right?
Correct.
So the idea is learning from your mistakes and how much better of a person you could become from the mistakes that you made to yourself.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of reels or podcasts. They say, I slept on my... There's one that I'll never forget watching it. There's a lot of things you go through phases. Internet's powerful. I watch every one of your videos and make sure I like them. I listen to what you guys talk about. But the internet's so powerful now that you see so many people doing reels and reels. And there was one that hit me one day, and it was a guy, he was an Asian guy, and you guys may have seen it, and he was sitting in a room with 2 other guys, and he said, you know, I'm always there for everybody else, because I was that guy. You call, I'm there in 3 seconds. He goes, but I wasn't there for myself, and I slept on myself, and he started crying. And I'm telling you, I bawled like a baby, because it hit me, something in that message hit me so hard that I said, man, you got to wake the fuck up. You got to wake the fuck up, because all the people that are around you, you're not hearing from them. Now, when you come back up,
everyone wants to talk to you.
fucking everybody. Yeah. I have more text messages, more inboxes, more, and some are sincere, some are, they want to know. The other thing is when you know, not to jump off that question, but you also with the media, you see insights, you see who's looking at you, who's not, and you can watch, and you can see all the algorithms and all the things that you know, we'll talk about that where you pointed something out to me. But the whole point of rock bottom, at least for me, my version of it was, yeah, you're on cruise control. You know, you don't have an ego. I would say it's not an ego. It's something you worked so hard for to be able to do what you need to do when you need to do it. And that's just the way it was. There wasn't a limit for the most part within region. You know, I might not have hit your limit, but everyone is able to do certain things they want to do, and there wasn't much stopping. Right. You guys said, let's go. I think for me, it was finding myself. And I feel like, and this may sound corny to some again, but I feel so blessed, so thankful, so excited. When I wake up every day of the week, I couldn't be happy. And that happiness doesn't come from having, you know, $1 million in the bank or $5. It has nothing to do with money. I set my alarm. I was saying to Sam, I just mentioned you coming. My alarm set 5 o'clock every day of the week, 7 days a week, every day, weeks of work. That's a gift. I love it. I love waking because I remember nights I didn't go to sleep.
What time do you go to sleep, though?
8:39, 10 o'clock. Yeah. I don't play no games.
That's a blessing.
I play no games.
I can't do it.
I'm excited. I used to put myself in bed and say, God, thank you for putting me to sleep tonight. Isn't that a crazy thing to say? But that's what I used to say.
Yeah, I get 8 hours. I go 10 to 6.
Yeah. I cannot go to sleep before 10.
So you talked about autopilot. We'll get back to the answer, but autopilot, I feel like when you hit rock bottom, your autopilot turns into autocorrection. If you're humble enough and you know you can put your pride in your back pocket, it's autocorrection.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, listen, like I let you do what you wanted to do. Now it's time to really do what you're supposed to do.
That's it. And the biggest lessons that I learned is, you know, with the autopilot, autocorrection is you have one shot. Like I'm blessed. You know, I almost died years ago, and I don't say that much. And, you know, and I'm not ashamed to say it. That's not something I wear on a billboard. But guess what? Thank God. Thank God I'm still here. Thank God. And I look at it like, you know, telling a friend of mine that message the other day. You know, it was a guy, you know, great guy, big truck company, many years, gave it up for a minute, you know, and had to find, he got lost. The strongest people in the room are the people that can hit rock bottom and get up like nothing fucking happened. And that's a big reel too, you'll hear a lot of time. And that's really the truth because not many people ever will come back as if they never left the room. So when I walk in a room, you know, especially in my area, there's not many people I don't know. You'll never see me. When I go to the gym every morning, it's my favorite place. And the gym's good for the training, but it's good for your soul. It's good for your networking, whatever it's going to be. And I got group texts with the guys. And we range from 40 to Phil, who's 82. In fact, you know, I was looking out for him the other day. He wasn't in the gym. Prayed on it. Guess what? He comes walking in the door. I couldn't believe it. I didn't say I thought something happened to him. We're like family. It takes me 25 minutes to walk from the front of the gym to the back because of hugs, kisses, high fives, whatever it's going to be. And I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world. 7 days a week. And that's where it starts. That's my day where it starts, in the gym. These are things that I missed because if I wasn't in the gym, you should put an APB out on me. Say, what the hell, is he okay? Because it's that serious. I don't miss the gym. You know, and back in the day, you know, I was a lot bigger than I was. Was 320 pounds. I mean, Vinny Curry plays for the Eagles. I used to send him pictures, get some, you know, writing back, you know. It was just the way it was. That's where Sam, you know, met a lot of the guys. We were all close, you know. Christ, we picked him up at the NovaCare to take him to Neptune to go to his house, you know. And, you know, but the thing is that I walked around at 320 pounds, and that's just too damn big. You know, you light a pipe, you can't breathe for 20 minutes. I mean, it's not good. You know, it's not healthy. It's not good. And it's not fun because you sweat. You know, I sweat now. You know, my buddy Jerry Spence says, Craig, your lip starts. Once my lip sweats, it's over. Forget about it. Just
don't think about it.
Just don't think about it. But the whole point is, with me, I guess my message I could give anybody is love your life, love yourself. It sounds corny to say you love yourself. When somebody, my ex, I remember her in court going, when I said I loved myself, he looked at me like in disgust. Well, to me at the time, I got to agree with her. I had to learn. Because when she said it, I didn't know what the fuck's that mean? I look at it now differently. So for that, I was wrong. Wrong. Because loving yourself, I looked at as being selfish. I love everybody else. I give everybody everything in my pocket. I paid kids Catholic schools, rings. I don't want to mention how much they cost. Just to get it thrown back in your face, it meant nothing. I mean, no matter where we went.
Well, you truly can't love somebody if you don't love yourself.
But then I had to realize this. To love yourself, if you love yourself, you're going to be that much better for everybody around you. Because you're helping everybody out. If you can leave a message with people, you know, walking in. I had a guy last week depressed in the gym. I make sure I reach out to him 2 days later. Hey, man, you all right? I was thinking about you because I didn't like the look in his eye. And I meant it. You know, so I look at it like, for me, every day, no matter what, whether you're killing it yet or not, you're going to kill it. I manifested. I have no doubts in my mind. I'll go right back further than I was before, but with a better purpose this time around. And I look at it that, you know, everybody's got a story. My story was pretty bizarre. It goes deep, deep, deep. I'm going to write a book. The book's name's I Can't Make This Shit Up. True story. I'll write a book. I'll go deep. I don't think it'll scare you too much. My book goes deep. And it's things I've seen, experienced, just through the walk of life, you know, and I'm thankful for it because, you know, I think that, you know, when you go through work every day, whatever it is, it's not a job. It's what we do. Like, you know, you're excited. I'm excited. Every day I wake up, there's nothing stopping me from showing energy, just pushing it off.
How do you know that you were at rock bottom then? And how do you know you were depressed?
How
You
did
said
I know?
at the time, you was like, what the hell is this thing? I have no idea what this is going on right now.
The biggest part of depression for me, I can tell you personally what happened with me was worrying about things you can't control, worrying about others, worrying about why is this person this way with this person, but why couldn't I get the affection I needed or the attention I needed? Why? I'm a good man. I took care of this person. What happened? And then I realized, you know what I did by that is I probably shouldn't have got through the second marriage. That was like a quick lesson. I think I set the record. It was less than 2 years. It was less than 2 years.
No, I have the record.
He is the record.
You got the record?
He didn't make it a year.
You didn't make it a year?
I made it
Oh,
6
it's a
months.
blessing.
No,
Thank God.
8 months, I think.
I think you were almost at a year, weren't you?
I think it was 8 months.
Thank God. Yeah.
Together for 12 years.
Listen, I don't hate anybody. It is what it is. I say thanks and see.
I think there's actually someone who got married and got divorced the same week. Like filed for divorce the same week.
Oh, thank God. Yeah, you could do it.
I think I've heard about it at one point.
I understood that my first
I think
marriage.
she got divorced in like 5 months or something like that.
Yeah,
Set
it's
records.
crazy. Usually when it happens too quick, it don't last anyway, right? Unless you're a real soul. Now, my mom and dad got married at, I'm going to say 19. They've been married 58 years. And I say to myself,
Wow.
my parents are the best role models, best friends in the world. I talk to them probably 10, 15 times a day on I'm a FaceTimer, so if we ever connect, get used to it.
You FaceTime me on Instagram. I'm like, what the hell's
FaceTime.
going on?
FaceTime everybody.
I'm on FaceTime.
I'm a FaceTimer, right? I FaceTime. I don't know. I feel like technology. I want to look at you. I want to see, you know, you in a good mood, bad mood, what's going on? You know, that's
why I don't have
I see the
I was
expression
with a
on their
realtor in the
face.
car. I was with a realtor. Yo, thanks, man. Appreciate you leaving that because it meant a lot. I took it as him leaving a message. We met at Sam in your event. And the other guy that was there, I can't remember his name, but it was cool. I drove out to it, and look where we're sitting today, right? So I went out there, and it's, you know, Sam's Craig, I need you to be here. And, you know, we went out there. But I posted something, and he noticed right away, yo, Craig, listen, I seen your video, cool, but where's your fucking hashtags at? And he's right, because at work, I got Matt Boyce I work with, it's always pushing, you know, make sure your hashtags are there, make sure your content's going, you know. And I didn't take it as serious. I take it so serious today where I was ripping one out before I left to come up here. I got 2 delivered to my phone and I think it is any business you're going to be, you got to stay up with the times. I have an AI meeting this week with a guy that's like a monster at it. And I want to learn. I want to understand what can I do to better my business. But the fact that you brought that to my attention, like I said, coming in, guess what? I'll never miss a hashtag the rest of my life because I know.
He was putting out content. He had like all these videos and I'm like, he's got no caption. He's got no No one's gonna even. They don't even know what this is about.
It's never going to hit the feed.
It's never gonna hit anywhere.
No
so.
hook. I just
advice.
posted reels. It was great. Best, actually changing advice. That changed me. So that's why I say I'm open. Listen, I'm coachable. You got to be coachable. Him doing that to me, I look at it whether he could be in Ibiza or something. It don't matter. If I post something, he's looking. In my mind, he's looking. I ain't letting him down. So I got to put it out there. But that's the accountability and the coaching, and that's where all this stuff comes into play. When you're around people that are leveled up and leveling up every day, you're prone to level up. It's just the way your mindset is. When you go through a depression, sometimes you change your surroundings. And one thing I don't ever look down on anybody. I never would. I wasn't raised that way, and because I was that guy. Doesn't matter what you did in the past. It doesn't matter what you do today. Correct. You could always say, I made $1 million. I made this. Well, what are you making today? Right? So there was a lot of things, a lot of life lessons learned. And, the biggest thing, hitting the rock bottom, we call it, whatever. Like I said, it varies, right? Rock bottom's different. I'm blessed, still in my house. Got everything, swimming in my pool. I swim more in my pool today than I did probably in the last 10 years. Every fucking night, it's beautiful. I got so much brick at my house that I always said if I left, I'm taking a brick with me. Because when I built the house, I was 20, I guess I was 25 when we built it, me and Nancy, the first wife. We built it, we spent $515 on it. It was like The Sopranos. Next thing you know, you had the paver guys there every week. I brought about 4,000 square foot of paver. Sammy and I met, he did my basement like this, high ceilings, theater room. And I remember my neighbor said, I want to be like you when I grew up. Here, he had a big trucking business. But it was exciting. But the biggest thing for me back then was, you were doing well, but seeing the smile on your parents' face because they're blown away. So it wasn't always the money. It was making your parents proud. Because to be honest with you, going in high school, if I didn't have to show up and didn't go to Catholic school, I probably wouldn't have finished high school. And didn't think I was going to be shit without it. I'm the only one out of 3 that didn't go to college. Both parents are educators. And I said, what am I going to do? And I worked on cars before I got in any type of sales. And I'd sit under the car with soldering guns. Your truck's got snow dripping on my ass, and I'm putting your stereo in. That's what I did. Stereos, alarms, all that kind of stuff. And then getting into sales, it was, went to work wearing khakis and a polo, selling cars. I said, yo, Dad, I'm not dressing the way I was. You sure you can make it? And I said, yeah. And he always laughs about it today. Thank God you didn't take my advice because he was set in his way. I went to college for about a week. That was it. I would have
kicked him out.
Yeah. I signed myself.
So let's talk about your kids. What do your kids do for a living?
So my first son, my oldest son, he's 27. He's a nurse. Went to Widener College. A lot smarter than his old man. And he's a nurse in the ER. He does well. My second son, God, I love him to death. And he's in sales now. I'm going to groom him. God sent, he's a junior, sent Junior back at me, but he's doing, but I'm proud of him. He's my man. It's a little Craig. Now he's into the Jack stage and, he does the rolling and the fighting and all this stuff with his friends. He's got a good group, but he does solar sales during the day, roofing sales. So if you need anybody, hits the phones well. He does well. 200 calls a day, does well. Works for a company called Power in down South Joe, with Joe Emirates and him. Yeah. Yep, he's down there. And then he delivers at night. The kid's a hustler. He takes after his old man. I mean, he hustles. So he's working, 6-7 days a week. Nice. There was a point in time hitting down the bottom. The kid had more money. I'm paying $1,500 a month child support. He's got more money than I got in the bank. He's making more money than I was. I wasn't making anything. Imagine that. So, but yeah, he's going to be somebody. He's doing well, and he's still 19. He's young. 19. But I was excited to see him because when he got into his phone sales, I said, just expect you're going to get hung up on, curse that.
A lot of no's.
Ignored, a lot of no's. The fact that he's doing it and he's getting promoted and he's doing his thing, I said, all right, I see something happening, So I'm excited for him. Now, if I could just get him to get rid of the mop haircut and,
That's their generation now.
Man, sure is. Oh, man, yeah. It's,
my oldest son had it. Last year, a year ago, he finally got rid of it. I'm like, dude, can you cut that shit off your head?
Just cut it, man. I got the best barbers around. Get the face, haircut like this. You got nice hair. I wish I had your hair still.
Thanks.
Yeah, mine's getting thin, man. I had to get it moved twice
Thank
already.
you, Finesse Ride.
I do it every day.
Finesse Ride's the way to go.
Yeah, shout out to John.
I'm embracing bald, baby.
But you can do it. See, my head, I can't be bald. My head, I got more war scars on my head. I look like a
fucking egg.
I got hit with lug wrenches. I got some. I had a rough. Yeah, my head used to be used a lot. Yeah, not good.
Used a lot.
Yeah,
he was hustling on the wrong corners, boy.
Yeah, head came in. Came in the way a lot. But yeah, no, I can't do it.
So it seems like you overcame a lot. Let's talk a little bit about personal development to you, and why is it important, and how does it play a role in your life?
Well, personal development, one of the things what I did was, and it's not downplaying any companies, but when I started getting back, it was a slow game. It was every day was better than the next day. Sam always would say when I talked to him, in fact, how about I used to drive Sam's dump truck when I was down and out. He was doing big renovations down the shore, and he didn't want me to. Matter of fact, he said, "Craig, I can't take you no more. I'm up at 5. So what's the matter?" He goes, "I can't have you doing this." But what I thank him for, I said, "Sam, you gave me a reason to get up 5 in the morning," and that's why that 5 in the morning stayed every single day since. It's never changed.
Does Sam even get up at 5 in the morning?
That sucker's up. He's up. Believe it or not. Maybe not on the weekends, but he's up. He's up. But that's it, and I thanked him for it. I meant it because that was something that when you get lost in the sauce, and when it goes to personal development, there was days I'd walk around saying, "Who did this? I'm in a big 4,000 square foot house. Who did it? Who made this?" You forget who you are. You gotta find yourself. Your talents, everything's there. Nothing's changed. You exiled yourself. So the biggest advice, what I did was you got to be around people. You got to be me. Could you imagine me not talking? Just from the short time you met me?
No,
Probably not.
Definitely
Imagine
not.
me sitting home. I was lost, man. But it's made me stronger in 1,000 different ways. So personal development, my faith is at a 1 to 10 to 12, and I don't mess around. I don't mess with that. Doing the right thing, 1 to 10 to 12. I don't mess around. So there's a lot of things I don't compromise on, and that's my life every day, making sure I'm up. I don't care if somebody else sleeping in, I'm up. I'm at the gym every day. I don't mess around. Even if I go bullshit because you just don't have it. I got 2 slap tears. Stuff's right. I still show up, and that's a big part of my day. That helped me. That helped me tremendously. Church was the number one. And when we talk about faith, there's a million different faiths. To me, my biggest takeaway was I listen. It was really bizarre. I mean, the way things it's crazy. Some people run. You said your brother's big.
Yes.
Into it,
Like
and
a Christian, yeah.
big Christian. It's weird, man, because a lot of people don't have time for it. And I say to myself today, if you don't have 1 hour a week to give to God or learn something, then shame on you. And it's a weird thing. Or just give to yourself if that's what it's going to be in a meditation state, just learning different things. But I'll tell you a funny story with me was I started going to church. Anthony Murata, I'll never forget this. I tell him all the time, there's certain people I thank in my life, certain milestones. When you come back, you're going to find when you go through a rough time, there's going to be something that I hope and pray hits a light switch in your head. Because some people don't come out. They're in that hole. They don't. That's just where it's going to be. So, like I said, not to call myself a tough guy. The tough guy's the guy that can get up, forget being humble, and just get up and just keep getting back each day, a step a day, a step a day, a step a day. And when you do that and you're honest with yourself, there's going to be certain people in your life. Sam, get me up 5 in the morning. It was $1,000 a week. It wasn't about the money. It was getting up, having a purpose. And that's what I always said to them. Thank you for giving me a purpose. Even though you could be all this guy, no one knows when you suffer depressions or addictions, nobody knows what you're going through. And I'm always so sensitive with that. Like if somebody's having a problem and somebody looks at it as minuscule, well, it may not be minuscule to that guy because it could be weighing him down. Now, I had problems that were big, it would be like you having big problems. Your problems, my problems, and some people are probably different in size, right? Your problems, you said you had a $7 million lawsuit. What the hell? What?
$3 million.
$3 million. That's a big problem. That's a fucking problem. I kept you up how many weeks?
Didn't keep me up.
Well, then you're tough. You're fucking tougher than I was because that's a rough one. Yeah, I owed the IRS $100,000. I signed in a divorce saying it was 60. Found I was a monkey on my back for a minute, and because I said, oh my God, they're gonna leverage me or garnish me. Like, how's this? How am I gonna fucking pay this? I had many problems, not at that scale, but it felt the same.
When I got divorced, I had a $180,000 IRS debt that I assumed the debt.
That's what I did.
But
I assumed it.
Here's what it is.
Oh, here's what I did. I'll take it. Any debt, I'll take it. Your pension, keep it. IRS, did an audit with the IRS, $62,000. I go to pay the debt, $180. Fuck happened to the 62? They screwed up. They made a mistake. So that's where it all kind of started back then.
Can't argue with the government either.
I said, oh, man, yeah. And then here's the worst part. Worst mistake, Sal, and God bless him because he's not here anymore. God bless him. But with Sal was, nah, man, just do fix 99, pay 900. Just pay him installments each year. That was bad advice. That was bad advice.
You got the
because guess what
interest,
happens? Guess what happens? You're going to keep doing it. You never paid off the year before. Now you brought a new year, and that's how the 60 came. It turned in. The 180 was all interest and VIG through the
So when I paid it off, I actually called them and
offering compromise.
No, I just called them. I said, listen, I want to pay this debt off in full because I was selling my house.
Yeah.
And I said, can you knock off all the interest and penalties?
Yeah.
And they knocked off, it was like 180. I think they knocked off like 50 grand.
Well, because it's all fool's gold. They know that.
Right.
And also, and I knock on wood on this because I still have more, if it's non-recoverable or 8-year barrier, they say don't wait to sleep and bear up. Like, just let it go. I mean, at the end of the day, pay your taxes. Here's what I learned. If you are W-2 where I am, I don't get your write-offs. I hit an alternative minimum tax bracket, you're stuck. Pay it. And guess what? Because if you can't live on your regular net income because you're not paying it, then that's a problem. And guess what we all did? We were disco days. We all lived on a different level. So you think it's never going to stop. You needed a certain amount of money. And you believe me, my mother would call me a spicone, and I hope it doesn't offend anybody. She'd say, you're such a, because I'd show up there with the Gucci's, with the $500 T-shirts, and I was a fool. Now I look at it with all this media, I would never spend that on clothes again. Christ, now I'm still addicted. I go to the outlets every Saturday.
Still addicted.
I still come home with the sneaks every week, couple pair. But the point is, that was another way of flipping. So when you have an addiction or something else, flip it to something else.
Yeah.
Because guess what? When you wake up in the morning, it's still sitting on the floor, right? And it ain't there the other way. So it's still there, and that's how you got to look at it. Like, I'd rather put weight on, get my size up, get your confidence back up, than struggle and just beat the high. Like I beat that. So when you go through down paths or bad paths, it takes work. Trust me, you put some work in. I mean, I'm telling you, you put a lot of hard work to fuck your shit up. Trust me when I tell you, whether it be through depression, it's not easy. I mean, not at certain levels. I mean, you got to work hard every day to just keep going down a bad path.
I think we all have like some sort of level of depression, whether it's high or low, but there's always a percentage of us, a percentage in all of us, depending on where it is. And I think going through my divorce, I probably went through my deepest depression.
Yeah.
Because of what she was trying to do. And then not talking to my son for 4 years, I went through a different depression.
Yep.
And I think depressions have different feelings and the way they impact you. And I just think that sometimes we have to realize that, we can hold on to that and ride that depression wave and just feel bad for ourselves. Or we can just say like, hey, you know what, fuck it. It's whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Like I had 2 other kids.
Yeah.
And I had to provide for them. I had to do for them. And if one kid didn't want to talk to me, there's nothing I could do.
I go through it. I've been there. Listen, when I went through the first divorce, I'll tell you a story. I was going through a divorce. You had to make, and I'm probably crazy saying this, but you had to keep your income at a certain number, no matter how well you were doing, because you were going to get hammered, and it's unfair, right? So I kept it at a certain level, and I was paying my son's college tuition, and it was $3,600 a month. So it was the first quarter I paid. So it was like $13,000 or $11,000. But whatever it was, I remember calling saying, hey, it's not the money. I can't keep paying it because after taxes, now that I learned to pay, I'm only left with this much. I'm paying the mortgage in the house I'm in today, paying a rental, paying this, paying that. There's nothing left. I'm negative. You don't pay my loans, I'm never going to talk to you again. You're getting told that. And you're heartbroken because you're going, what the fuck? I'll give you the shirt off my back. And we didn't speak for a couple of years. And we came back, but I always had guilt. But then I said to myself, that's what kids go through, and that's part of life. And, the not speaking rips us up because we love our kids more than anything. Christ, I know you do. You made a big point to, and that's me. You'll do anything for them. But the biggest thing with going back and going through a depression, and I don't know where it started. It must have been lingering a little longer and really got bigger. Problem is when you go to different directions, it just makes it worse. Your depression. It's like alcohol. I barely drink. Next to never. Orange crushes and girl drinks. If I go anywhere. I used to be able to knock beers. I don't even like beer taste anymore. I don't like it. But the point is, when you drink, and if you go out and you wake up in the morning, don't you feel so much anxiety? Holy shit, I got this whole list. If you're doing anything else, you got a laundry list you're going to do the night before, and you're going to touch one of them the next day because you're always going to do everything. But next day, you don't do anything.
You do what's easy, not what's hard.
And I don't miss that.
Crossings off the list.
Listen, 4th of July weekend, I power washed the bricks. It's about 4,000 square foot. So it took me about 3 days, then poly sanded it, sealed it. That's a lot of work.
That shit.
Yeah, well, I
He would
always
have
did.
yelled at me if I said
I
I
always
was
paid
doing it
for it.
myself.
You know what? To me, it was self-medicating.
Yeah.
It was self-medicating. I enjoyed it. There were certain spots that had a negative. I felt like I cleansed it, right? And that's just, and it meant, I love it. So and if somebody calls you up, how long are you going to be? Well, that's his call.
As long as it takes.
As long as the fuck it takes. That's how long it's going to be. So I've learned that I have certain boundaries, certain limits. I try to make things work. Sometimes it can't work. You got to realize that. Hey, listen, if somebody's not going to be your biggest fan, happy for you, and it's not because you're just into yourself, but if somebody's not going to be your biggest fan, excited for you every day like you are for somebody else, then you got to walk. Because it ain't gonna, you can't have people that are at you at your top, not at you when you're struggling. Second wife I had, and again, I'm not to ever badmouth anybody, but in fairness, listen, I exiled myself. I wasn't around. I loved her, or I thought I did. I didn't. I found out that later. But the thing was, I was doing everything I could to keep distant, to avoid people, to avoid certain things, staying late when you didn't have to stay late, driving in the car. I was a professional driver, drove. And then you pick up game, and you really, at the end of the day, you're throwing every dollar out the window. I mean, the money, I wouldn't even want to talk about it. If I threw it on the floor and we all each had a bag, I'd say I'm good with whatever I could fit in my bag. It was that bad. Why? I don't know why. I look at it and I say, what the hell was I thinking? I have no idea what that was about. But you can't get it back. It's not coming back. It's gone, right? And I think that what I had to learn was letting go. It was another topic Sam and I talked about yesterday. Letting fucking go.
We just talked about that before.
Yeah,
I just talked to these things. We just talked about it. Just funny. You guys, certain things I said coming in, we just talked about that. And that, because when you're leveling up, you talk about certain things.
You do.
You do.
Conversations change.
Because everybody's mind's in the same mindset, right?
Right.
And that's the difference of hanging around certain circles and not.
100%.
Does that make sense? Do you think other people just normal? I'm not saying people aren't normal, but what I'm saying is that maybe aren't in the same mindset. Do they talk about these things?
Ordinary people and there's extraordinary people.
You notice you think the same, right? I just said this. I was saying to Sam yesterday about network, and I was talking about something, and then I said about letting go. I brought up something in the past girlfriend, past ex-wife, number 2, and he goes, "Yeah, fuck that." And I said, "I know," and he used to tell me that then, but I didn't know how to accept it. Yep. I was more focused on, but why would somebody want to do this to you, or why would somebody want to hurt you? Why would they badmouth you? Why would they put your business? Why was this? And you spent your day consumed. Right. And then you realize you call your friends up. I keep on the phone for 25 minutes. Finally, my boy Sebastian, best friend in the world, he goes, "Craig, listen, man, I've been on for an hour and 6 minutes. I got to hang up." And it was his nice way of saying, because when somebody would blow you off when you're venting your problems, you almost get offended, right? Well, how dare you ain't going to sit and listen to me? But really, in reality, now I look at it and go, I wouldn't listen to hell either, because you can only listen with so much, and it's repetitive. It's on auto. It's constant same, because nothing's changed till you let it go. Until you let something go, you're going to talk about the same shit, and that's the biggest thing.
I tell people, don't call me to complain because I ain't listening.
No, fuck that. No, there's no complaining. There's no complaint. I don't complain, believe me. Even today, I'm telling you how excited I am. I have letdowns. I deal with them differently. We all have letdowns, right? I might be disappointed that I didn't close a certain amount of units this month. I might be disappointed that I'm not a standout like I want to be or whatever. But the point is, if I don't think that way, you're never going to be that way. So I have to think that way every day, because that's my way. It's just the difference of being extraordinary to average. And there's nothing wrong with being average, because listen, guess what? Think about the days you work your ass off and you're building 10 houses and you're yelling, you got this guy, you just got to, bring back on concrete, shit didn't work out right, now you got to redo it and all that kind of stuff, that, whatever they're called. I remember my buddies going through shit like that. It's fucking, you want to kill somebody because now you got to break it up and redo it. But the point is, what I realized was what we go through in that level. How about maybe your brother or your cousin? They're going to Disney for the week, and they're not at your level. And they're smiling in the pictures, and and I say, man, who's happier right now? I got this in the bank. I'm doing this, and this guy's doing that. So I had to find a balance. And I guess that's my point with it. Like, you have to still, no matter how much you want to gain something and you want to do something, you have to find a balance in the middle for not playoff, not beat off time or stuff like that, but I mean, like, where you can still love yourself. Because if you hate what you do and it becomes such a job every day, you're never going to elevate the way you need to elevate. You know, if that makes sense. I'm getting twisted with my words, but that's kind of how I look at it. You got to like it, what you do, even in the down times, as much as you do in the up times.
It does, but I'm actually curious. Well, not really curious, but something you said actually stands out. The whole, you look at the picture and they don't have what I have in the bank, but look at them in this moment. They look very happy. I think that we get carried away in today's age. We get very carried away, and we had this discussion prior. Yeah. It's like, we look at social media and everyone looks happy, but we're only capturing about 1.2 seconds of someone's entire day. Yeah. And we get carried away thinking that they're happy all the time because it's what we see, right? They look at look at their entire feed, all of their photos, their entire grid. It's all happy family photos, but you step into that life and it could be shit.
Could be
nothing.
Yeah,
but we try to idolize those people, and then we try to replicate and question ourselves and say maybe we could do better.
Yeah.
And that's okay, right? But to compare ourselves to others and say they're happier than us, I think is wrong.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what the saying is exactly. Build a life worth living, or whatever it is, or build a. There's certain things. Keller Williams has a big thing with Keller. It was faith, culture. It was culture, growth, profitability. That's how it was at that level, right? And they would always have different things in their trainings that I would go to. And it was, so my goal this time around. And not that the first time around wasn't still lingered in this time around, because you wouldn't have what you had if you didn't go through the first round. But the biggest goal I have right now is to do exactly what I'm saying. Just stay where I'm at. Stay in my lane. Stay in my lane. Build bigger lanes with people around you that have impacts in your life, positive impacts. Anything negative, anybody's going to call a bitch, keep it moving. It's just, there's no point to it, right? You can't, it only pulls you back. My brother-in-law, pain in the ass. He wants a girlfriend. He complains about every single girl in the world. And I sat back and I said, Rich, listen. Oh, shit, I said his name. Listen. Yeah.
Still your brother-in-law. Everyone knows.
Listen, but you're the one going on the Facebook that's got the girl 10 hours away from you. You're talking to girls in Hawaii. What do you want? Change it. I tried to coach him going through stuff. I went to, listen, insanity. What do they say? Look, it's a look it in the mirror and expect a different result. Yeah. If you're not changing nothing, you got to change something. Now he's happy, he just came back, so he wanted to talk to you on the way up here.
So let's talk about this as you're talking about this. As we wrap things up, where do you project yourself in the next couple of years? Like, because you're coming through this up, like you're on your way up from your down. Where do you see yourself, and what kind of goal do you have ahead for you to be?
That's a good question. Wow. I should have wrote that down on the way up. That's a good one. Where do I see? Where are my goals?
Where do you want to be a few years from now?
My goal in a few years from now is just to stay the path I'm on and build a legacy, more importantly, with my children, with my family, build a legacy of an importance, like where you're impacting. To me, having an impact on people is the strongest thing for me. Just leaving impact no matter where you go. Mm-hmm. That's something I want to focus on. The other thing with when it comes to wealth or business is just take things to another level. But whatever that be smart about each step you're going to go. However it's going to come out and however it's going to play out. It's a strong question, man. That's a hard one to blurt out. Yeah, because I do an org chart and I'll break shit out. It's a little tough there, man. Vital factor me.
Anthony's got a better question for you.
Yeah, give me an easier one. That's a rough one. That's because that's a question that takes a minute. Yeah, but what do I see? I want to be the best I want to be the best version of myself I could be, and bring that to the table.
And that's what we can only ask for, right? I think what you're actually trying to say is you just want to be tactful moving forward, whereas like you might have been a little bit loose in the past. Now you want to take all your experiences that you've learned in the past through personal, professional, and now you just want to use that to form a strategy moving forward, which I think is admirable.
I think you're winning is if we do something like this, and if somebody listens and they just take that one thing. It's like I said, coming in like that one thing when you're coming out of anything, even if you're at the top, one thing that somebody says you could change your life.
Yeah. Well, that's why we do this, right? We hope that we could impact one person.
Just one person.
I think we did our job, but we know we did our job, and that's our goal.
I hope so.
That's our goal.
I pray on it. I hope somebody watches this, and the people that are afraid to admit where certain things are, it's okay. You don't have to.
Speak about being afraid, though. You seem to be very calm, collected, cool. You've been through a lot, right?
Yeah.
So it obviously taught you a ton for the future, and it allows you to be a little bit more level-headed. However, we all have concerns as entrepreneurs, business owners, family members, so on. At night, we put our head on the pillow, we try to go to sleep, and something keeps us up. What keeps you up?
Right now, you want me to tell you an honest question?
Yep.
Nothing.
That's what I expected out of you, actually.
Nothing. like he said, I'm in bed, man. Listen, ain't nobody. Not putting. There was a lot of times I didn't go to sleep, and that's so important to me. That's like my job. I go to bed. If I'm up 10 o'clock, I could be in the backyard in the pool with somebody exciting, having fun, laughing. Saturday night, guess what? I got church tomorrow, 7:40 in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't play no games. Yeah. All right, time. Let's go put Netflix. When I say Netflix, this that means. I'm 10 minutes. I'm out. Yeah, I'm out. So my biggest thing that would make me feel happy with everything around and myself is if you could just go through every day of life and just have energy that drives into somebody, and I care about them as much as I care about myself. And I know it sounds goofy. I'm not a one-way man. I want to leave an impact. Hope I impact you guys. Something I said, I don't know. But
since you sleep well, maybe we can redirect this question Anthony's asking. Maybe when you're in the shower, maybe when you're in a car, what kind of conversations you have in your head that are fearful to you about your future, and what kind of worries come into your mind that you try to avoid or try to overcome?
That's a big one. Fearful ones would be when you know that you have obligations or things you must take care of, and you know it's coming, but you don't have it that moment. Or you know it's coming, but you may be delayed. Or how do I handle that instead of panicking or whatever? Because panicking could lead to something else, and you go right back to your rabbit hole you were in. So I think that I've learned that when I have fear, to handle it differently. Because I'm going to tell you something. When you've been through shit, and I mean shit, when you've been through, there's not a lot that rattles you. It takes a lot to rattle me. A gun to the head might not rattle me at the moment. So it takes a lot to rattle somebody who's been through trauma, who's been through different things. And I've learned to weigh things out. I mean, there was days that, man, you couldn't pay a bill. You took a cold shower. Imagine that. It's weird. Shit you take for granted. Guess what? I fucking loved it. I said, this is my cold plunge in the morning. Yeah, you know what? I got used to it. It sounds crazy. Sometimes you have to get used to the bad things to get to the good things. You got to get used to it, because things that you didn't think about before make you that much stronger as a person. I mean, that's just my opinion. I could be crazy, sound ridiculous saying that, but I'm going to tell you, I've noticed in life, sometimes my toughest times were my happiest times. Meaning my toughest times, I had more value to things that I didn't have before. And that's what I think helped me out. So yeah, things that I fear my, you know what I fear the most? My parents. I fear my parents. I want them to be healthy. I want them to live forever. I want my kids to be healthy, kids that live forever. I don't want any of my friends to go through rough times. I don't want to see people around me. I think I fear that more than other stuff, because that's what I focus on. My mom and dad are my most important assets in my life. Other than my kids, and that's what I fear, is ever not having them there.
Fantastic. No, I was going to just ask, I mean, if anybody has questions about how to get over fear, or
feel free to reach out. Yeah.
Want to be humbled, or, could learn from what you have learned in the past and maybe not make the same mistake, because it's clear that you just like to help people.
Yeah.
And you'd give the shirt off your back if you could, and
Always.
you would. But if anyone's looking for a mortgage or any of the previous, how do they find you?
Mortgage. So Craig at Max Loans is my email address. My Instagram is Craig Sharlock, which, I'll make sure it'll be attached to this. I hope, as far as mortgages go, I treat, like I'm talking here, that's the way I treat my clients. My clients become my friends. We're high-fiving at the table. In fact, I got a settlement at little 4:30. I don't know if the wire went out. I have to check with George. But the point is, we just got CO, as a home builder. The builder didn't do what he was supposed to do. Grading, everything else. So everybody wants to close. And they told me at 2 o'clock they want to close at 4. It's not clear to close yet because of the CO. But I have a passion for what I do. I love working with people. I love networking. I mean, I network, and that's my forte. So where I need to scale, which I wrote in my notes, it's funny, in my bag over there, I got notes from your event. And my biggest thing with scaling is, it's not about procedures. We all know procedures. We all know that, processing, underwriting, to the closing. We all know that shit. But how can I scale and build a better, just keep leveling? Like Sam scaled like a mother over the last 2 years. When I worked with him, I felt bad for his head girl, man. Oh, man. There was like 40, 50 projects going on. And I'm so impressed. We just did a podcast a couple weeks ago. He's got his work charts on the wall. He's got his stuff on the wall. That was a big difference. You know, and it takes that, you know, in business. Like, so my scaling is I want to be able to make sure I get the best, which we have great LPs now, great LPs. You know, so Matt Boyce, I'll give him a shout out, did a great job at Maximus, great job with market. He started doing things others don't do. Thing of value, content pieces, different things, and really pumping it through. And like it took me a minute to get going. Now I'm making sure we had a contest. We wear the WWE belt. Max was more. And Mike Highland got it, so I told Mike, I'm going to kick you in the balls. I'm taking the belt. I'm not playing no game. So I'll make sure. And then he just extended the contest. You believe I would have won it in June. Now it went to fucking July. So I'm like, it's all right. I just keep repping it. But I think with mortgages, anybody needs help. First-time home buyers, grant programs. We have every product out, DSCRs, investors. Not only can I do your mortgage, I could set you up with some of the top agents in your area, wherever it's going to be all the way up to New York. I got guys up there. I could tell you that service levels we have, my passion, you're not going to find better service levels. Every client I have, they text, I'm on group text, follow-ups, you know.
Awesome.
Love what we do, man. I love it.
We'll make sure to add all your contact information to the caption, and we really appreciate you being a guest today.
I'm thankful
and guys,
to be here.
if you're not following us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, go ahead and do so. It helps boost our algorithm.
Please like and share. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.